In the third video, we begin with a vocabulary about different natural disasters. Pay attention to the vocabulary, okay? You can see this is a tornado, okay? And the second one is a hurricane or a typhoon. What's the difference between a hurricane and typhoon? That in the Pacific, they call it typhoon. For example, Japan, China, Bangladesh, they say typhoon. But here in this part of the world, we say hurricane, but they the same phenomena. A flood, okay, lot of waters. Landslide, natural disaster. A drought. A drought is when there is no water or there is no rainwater in a long period of time. For example, in Australia, there is a region that didn't have water like in 10 years, okay? A summer of 10 years. 10 years without any water, okay? That's a drought. Listen to the pronunciation of this vocabulary. It's very simple.
Read and listen.
A tornado.
A hurricane. A typhoon.
A flood.
A landslide.
A drought.
Now listen again and repeat.
A tornado.
A tornado.
A hurricane.
A hurricane.
A typhoon.
A typhoon.
A flood.
A flood.
A landslide.
A landslide.
A drought.
A drought. Okay? Remember, a tornado, a hurricane, a typhoon, a flood, a landslide, a drought. Okay? Those are the natural disaster here. That's the vocabulary. Now let's go for the listening. You have 4 conversations or news, and you're going to write here what natural disaster they're talking about, okay? A tornado, a hurricane, a flood, a landslide, or a drought. Which one, okay? Listen to it carefully.
Listen to the news. Write the kind of event the report describes. Report 1.
Brazil farmers report the loss of dairy and beef cattle. There has been no measurable rainfall in 3 months, and the dry land cannot feed their animals.
The number 1 is a drought.
Report 2.
The rain hasn't stopped in a week, and people nearest the river are moving out of their houses because the roads are covered in water.
The second is a flood.
Report 3.
The storm's winds reached a record 150 kilometers per hour, and the torrential rains are expected to continue for at least 6 more hours. Trees are down and areas nearest the beaches are heavily damaged.
Okay, what's number 3?
Report 4.
A fast-moving, dark, funnel-shaped cloud is making its way across the eastern side of town, knocking down trees. Roofs on many houses have blown off. Residents are urged to immediately go underground and take cover until the danger has passed.
Okay, what's number 4? You want to listen, rewind the video and do it again. And the second part, listen again after each report say if the statement is true or false. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, are they true or are they false? Just listen again.
Listen again. After each report, say if the statement is true or false. Explain your answers. Report 1.
Brazil farmers report the loss of dairy and beef cattle. There has been no measurable rainfall in 3 months, and the dry land cannot feed their animals.
Report 2.
The rain hasn't stopped in a week, and people nearest the river are moving out of their houses because the roads are covered in water.
Report 3.
The storm's winds reached a record 150 kilometers per hour, and the torrential rains are expected to continue for at least 6 more hours. Trees are down and areas nearest the beaches are heavily damaged.
Report 4.
A fast-moving, dark, funnel-shaped cloud is making its way across the eastern side of town, knocking down trees. Roofs on many houses have blown off. Residents are urged to immediately go underground and take cover until the danger has passed.
Okay, you can rewind the record and listen to the sentences again, to the reports, and say if each sentence is true or false. Now pay attention because we have a grammar here, continuing with the indirect speech. Say and tell 10 changes. You say when you mention the listener. You say when you don't. Who's the listener? The listener is like the public, okay? Maggie told her parents to stay home. Listener mentions. Maggie said to stay home, okay? The listeners are not mentioned. Okay, remember, when I use tell, it's because I'm going to mention the listener. Told him, told me, told you, etc. Okay? And when I use say, it's because I'm not going to mention the listeners. When say and tell are in the past tense, the verb in the indirect speech often change. Present becomes past and past becomes past perfect. Will becomes would and can't become could. ¿Ok? Están hablando aquí de que los verbos say y tell, cuando se utilizan en el discurso directo e indirecto, cambian. Por ejemplo, el presente cambia a pasado, el pasado se convierte en pasado perfecto, el futuro se convierte en condicional y can se convierte en could. Miremos los ejemplos. They said the weather is awful. They said that the weather was awful. Dan said we all had the flu. Dan said they all had the flu, had the flu. They said there will be snow tonight. They said there will be snow tonight. My husband said you can come with me. My husband said I could come with him. No se le olvide entonces que los verbos cambian. No necesariamente el verbo say y tell. Esos a veces permanecen, por ejemplo aquí en estos ejemplos, permanecen igual, ¿sí? El verbo say permanece igual. Si utiliza el verbo tell en pasado también permanecería igual en el reporte. Pero lo que cambia es la oración, el verbo de la oración que estoy reportando. Entonces, por ejemplo, the weather is awful. The weather was awful. De presente cambió a pasado. We all had the flu. They all had the flu. De pasado simple cambia a pasado perfecto. There will be snow tonight. There will be snow tonight. Cambia el futuro al condicional. You can come with me. I could come with him. Can cambia a could como auxiliar. ¿Listo? A eso se refiere el cambio. Miremos algunos ejemplos aquí. ¿Cuál sería el cambio? Por ejemplo, the TV reporter said the landslide is one of the worst in history. Entonces, the TV reporter said the landslide was one of the worst in history. Como ustedes pueden ver, de discurso directo a indirecto, cambia el is por el was. He also said it caused the destruction of half the houses in the town. He also said that it had caused the destruction of half of the house in town. El pasado simple cambia a pasado perfecto. Number 3, my sister called and said there is no electricity because of the hurricane. Entonces, his sister or her sister called and said there was no electricity because of the hurricane. O sea, there is se convierte en there was. The newspaper said there will be a typhoon in the next 36 hours. The newspaper said that there would be a typhoon in the next 36 hours. There would. Cambia el will a would. The paper said the drought of 1999 was the worst natural disaster of the 20th century. Okay. The paper said that the drought of 1999 had been the worst natural disaster of the 20th century. Entonces, was se convierte en had been. Pasado a pasado perfecto. After the Great Snowstorm of 1888, a New York newspaper reported the blizzard of 88 caused more damage than any previous storm. And in their speech, after the Great Snowstorm in 1888, a New York newspaper reported that the blizzard of 88 had caused more damage than any previous storm. Entonces, caused, que el pasado simple se convierte en pasado perfecto, had caused. Okay, now, pay attention to the conversation.
Read and listen to a conversation about the news.
What's going on in the news today?
Well, the Times says there was a terrible storm in the south.
Really?
Yes, it says lots of houses were destroyed.
What a shame.
But there haven't been any deaths.
Thank goodness for that.
Listen again.
Read and listen to a conversation about the news.
What's going on in the news today?
Well, the Times says there was a terrible storm in the south.
Really?
Yes, it says lots of houses were destroyed.
What a shame.
But there haven't been any deaths.
Thank goodness for that.
Okay, now you practice the pronunciation. What's going on the news today? Well, the Times says there was a terrible storm in the south. Really? Yes, it says lots of houses were destroyed. What a shame. But there haven't been any deaths. Thank goodness for that. Okay? The underlying expression, what a shame, thank goodness for that, are reaction to the news. Okay? What a shame, and thank goodness for that. What a shame is a bad reaction, and thank goodness for that is a good reaction. Okay? Practice the conversation. And here they give some ideas for changing the conversation. Okay? For example, what's going on in the news today? Okay? They say people flee flooded river valleys farms. Okay? Yes, it says, okay. Different things here. You can use the expression, what a shame, thank goodness for that, or no, what a disaster, that's enormous, horrendous, gigantic, huge, okay? And different things. They give you some ideas of how changing the conversation here. The Daily Post online says an earthquake killed 20,000 in Iran. Okay? Until here this video.